Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about why do we bring our kids to the doctor for behavior issues anyways? I mean, do you have any idea when that actually started? Like, how long have we as parents been bringing our children to the doctor? My name is Bonnie Leota, and if you don't know me, all you really need to know right now is that I've been where you are. I've been raising ADHD, ODD kids who are disrespectful and defiant and lazy and pretty much all the typical complaints that we get, I was living through. And when I discovered the answer, I was very simply, not easy, but very simply was able to help my kids transform into healthy, happy, cooperative, amazingly awesome champion kids. And the really cool thing is that every single one of you can make that happen in your house too. So I want to talk about this. I think it's really imperative to know that before the year, say, mid 1960s, nobody thought to bring their kids to the doctor for the behavior of their children. Hi, Giselle. Thank you so much for joining me. As I'm going through, if I do say something that you relate with or that you like or you agree with, please do click like, click heart, show me an angry face, show me a wow face, something, but communicate with me because I want to know where you're at based on the message that you're receiving, even if it is the replay. Okay, this is really, really important stuff. So why do we bring our kids to the doctor? I don't know if you've ever thought about that. Like, why? What makes us believe or think that the doctor actually knows how to get your children to just cooperate and listen to you? And so Dr. Leon Eisenberg is the doctor that back in the late 1960s, mid 1960s, said that he had so many parents bringing their children to the doctor's office to complain about their behavior that they literally had to make something up. Yes, they literally made it up in the mid 1960s. Before 1968, you can do all the research you like, but in no psychology magazine before 1968 did child behavior disorders or child mental health disorders even exist. Okay? This is really powerful stuff because doctors don't know how to help you. They never have known how to help you. Show me a doctor, a pediatrician, a therapist, a counselor that's actually spent 20 years working with kids with 100% positive results, working on principles. Show me, and I'll take my words back. But I've been searching for 7 years on this. Why we bring our kids to the doctors? What do the doctors really know? How did ADHD become a thing? How did ODD become a thing? And it became a thing because we started, just like Little Red Riding Hood, bringing our kids to the sheep in wolves' clothing. Yes, the sheep in wolves' clothing. Now, remember in Little Red Riding Hood when the little girl goes to grandma's house and she goes, "My grandma, what big eyes you have. Oh, the better to see you with, my dear, what big ears you have. Well, all the better to hear you with, my dear." Now, could you imagine if the wolf was all like, I have big eyes and big ears and a big mouth because I'm a wolf and I'm actually going to eat you. Okay. We're bringing our kids to this industry of business, by the way, who are leading us and our children right off the edge of a cliff. And yet we just keep doing it and we keep doing it and we keep doing it, thinking that someday some doctor is going to know how to actually help. Now, if you're on the path or have been on the path of this with me, because I've been on the ADHD sales funnel side where the school calls you into a room and says, we have these issues and your child has this. And it's so easy to believe unless we actually go back and we think a little bit. All right, because it was in 1946, a doctor wrote a book called Baby and Child Care. His name was Dr. Spock. Back in the day that he had never worked with a child in his entire life. And you know what? We went from teaching our children life skills, from empowering them with purpose in the home, to catering to our children's every whim and using positive discipline like timeouts and takeaways to teach them the lesson when they do something wrong. Well, here's what that turned into. 36 years after Baby and Child Care was actually published, Spock's own 22-year-old grandson jumped off the roof of the building his father worked at on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, Dad. Merry Christmas, Grandpa. I have a message to share. You controlled my decisions my entire life, and here, me making this decision, well, you can't get in there with me. You can't decide to save my life. You can't make this decision. I can, and he did. And you know what? Today, following the exact same principles of Dr. Spock, teenage suicide has become the #1 cause of death for teenagers worldwide. Suicide has become the #1 cause of death for teenagers worldwide. More than 54% of our kids are being diagnosed and medicated. So, do you know why we take our kids to the doctor for behavior issues? Oh, well, let me see if this might ring a bell. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent said in 2013 that the ADHD industry, now that doesn't include ODD, conduct disorder, anxiety, depression, autism, Asperger's syndrome, doesn't include any of that. This is ADHD. The cost of ADHD back in 2013 was anywhere between $143 to $266 billion a year. Wow. Okay. So we've got to stop taking our kids to the doctor for their behavior. There's nothing wrong with your child. We create the environment for them. Our job is not to yell and dictate and bribe and basically control our children's every move so we can protect them and make sure they're alive by the time we're 18. Our job is to teach our children life skills. Your child has desires inside their soul. They have desires. They're curious. They want to grow and live with purpose and learn about their world. And we, the adults, are constantly going, nope, we don't do that. Nope, stop it. Get down from there. You're going to hurt yourself. Nope, 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 nope. And very rarely do we ever tell them what they can do. So I want you to know that our kids aren't sick and broken. The doctors have no idea how to help you. There has not been a scientific study that can prove a child behavior disorder since the inception of ADHD because a doctor made it up. The exact same doctor that won Nobel Prizes for his 40 years working as a child psychiatrist, all of the work based on theory. They're practicing on your kids. They're practicing on your kids. We're giving them $266 billion a year. We're medicating our children, turning them into zombies so they can sit through a classroom so the teacher doesn't have to yell, shut up from the front. And we're continuing to allow this industry to take our kids over the edge of the cliff. So God says this in Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not provoke your child to anger. It's not our job to yell at and scare our kids and make them all angry. We have a job to do, Mom. If your child is lacking self-control, then teaching self-control should be a goal. If your child is lacking manners or respect, then teaching your child manners and respect is called a goal. We can consciously teach it, and you know what? I'm telling you that no doctors have the answer today. They don't know how to help you because they don't have the actual strategies, the principles. God works on principles. He doesn't say, oh, you're this mom, you're that mom. I don't like you. I like you. Here's a good kid. Here's a bad kid. God works on principles. And I believe the American Psychology Association knows this already, because back in 1903, in the American Journal of Psychology, they wrote about how habits and neural pathways are developed, created, and replaced. So yes, can we cure your child? Can you live in a house that's full of peace and harmony and happiness and cooperation and love and connection? Yes, that is how God intended for our families to live. And everything else, the strife, the arguing, the yelling, the hopelessness, the depression, the despair, the at the wit's end, it is a lie. It is a spiritual attack on our families. And the ones who's going to stop the spiritual attack, the only ones who can make a difference is you. Mom, you, dad, you're the only ones that can make a difference because you're the only ones that love your kids enough to step up and just stop the nonsense of bringing our kids to the doctor for poor behavior. Thank you so much for joining me again. Please like, comment, let me know what you think. And thanks again for watching. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday as I do another Parenting Tips Tuesday here at Creating Champions for Life. Bye for now.